If you have been staring at a shady yard thinking you cannot grow food there, I'm going to be straight with you. You have been lied to. One of the biggest myths in gardening is that vegetables need full, blazing sun all day long, or they are not worth planting. That is just not true. I have been growing food my whole life, and some of the most productive corners of my garden are the ones that only get 3 or 4 hours of direct light. My grandfather had a patch behind his tool shed that never saw full sun a single day in its life, and he pulled more greens out of that spot than most folks get from their main beds. In this video, I'm going to show you 12 shade-loving vegetables that produce more than you would ever expect. We are talking real harvests, not just a few sad leaves struggling to survive. These are crops that genuinely thrive with less light and will fill your kitchen table all season long. And stick around for the bonus tip at the end, because I am going to share a simple trick for squeezing even more production out of shady spots that most gardeners have never even thought of. First up, and this is the king of shade gardening, is leaf lettuce. Lettuce does not just tolerate shade, it actually prefers it in most of the country. Full sun in the summer makes lettuce bolt faster than you can blink, but give it 3 to 4 hours of light and it stays tender and sweet for weeks longer than it would in a sunny bed. Grows in USDA zones 2 through 11. Plant black-seeded Simpson for a fast, forgiving loose leaf that thrives in low light. Red Sales gives you beautiful color even without intense sun. And Buttercrunch is a butterhead type that produces surprisingly dense little heads in partial shade. Give it rich, moist soil, space plants about 6 inches apart, and keep watering consistent. The mistake people make is thinking shade means less food. With lettuce, shade means a longer harvest, because the plants stay in their sweet spot instead of bolting to seed in the heat. You will actually get more lettuce from a shady bed than a sunny one in the middle of summer. That is the honest truth. The second thing you need to know about is spinach, and I cannot stress this enough. Spinach and shade go together like biscuits and gravy. This green bolts at the first sign of heat and long days. So putting it in a spot that gets filtered light or only morning sun is one of the smartest moves you can make. Zones 2 through 9. Bloomsdale Longstanding is my go-to variety because it handles partial shade beautifully and has gorgeous Savoy leaves. Corvair is a smooth leaf type that does well with less light and is perfect for salads. And Giant Winter is an old variety that was practically designed for shady, cool conditions, rich soil, consistent moisture, and sow seeds about an inch apart. Spinach in shade produces slower, but it produces longer, and the leaves stay tender instead of turning tough and bitter. My grandfather planted spinach on the north side of his bean trellis every single year and got harvest well into June, when everyone else's spinach had already gone to seed. Next on the list is kale, and this one is near and dear to my heart. Most people think kale needs full sun, but it does perfectly well with just 4 to 5 hours of light. The leaves might be a little smaller, but the flavor is actually milder and more pleasant for eating raw. Zones 2 through 11. Red Russian is my top pick for shade because it stays tender even in low light conditions. Lacinato, also called dinosaur kale, produces those gorgeous dark leaves reliably in partial shade, and dwarf blue curled Scotch works great in containers tucked into shady corners. Space plants about 12 inches apart in rich, well-drained soil and keep them watered. Kale in shade is less bothered by cabbage moths and aphids too, which is a bonus nobody talks about. The pests tend to congregate on the plants, baking in full sun and leave the but shady kale alone. You will spend less time fighting bugs and more time eating. If you're getting something out of this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week with honest, no-nonsense gardening advice you can actually use. It is completely free, it helps me keep making these videos, and it means you will not miss the next one. All right, let us get back to it. Coming in at number 4 is Swiss chard. And let me tell you why this matters. Chard is one of the toughest, most forgiving vegetables you can grow, and it handles shade like a champion. 3 to 4 hours of sun is all it needs to keep pushing out those big, colorful leaves all season long. Zones 2 through 11. Bright lights gives you a rainbow of stem colors, red, orange, yellow, pink, even white, and it produces heavily in partial shade. Ford Hook Giant is an heirloom with thick white stems and dark green leaves that just keeps going, and Ruby Red has gorgeous crimson stalks that look as good in a flower bed as they do on a dinner plate. Space plants about 8 to 10 inches apart, give them decent soil, and water regularly. Chard in shade gets less stressed by summer heat, which means fewer problems with leaf scorch and tip burn. I have had single chard plants in a shady bed produce from May all the way through the first hard frost in November. Try getting that kind of longevity out of a sunny spot. It just does not happen. The sun beats the life out of chard by August, but shade keeps it cool and happy and cranking out leaves month after month. Now, number 5 on our list is green onions, also called scallions, and there's a good reason for that. Green onions are one of the most underrated shade crops in the garden. They do not need a lot of light to produce those crisp, mild stalks that go on everything from salads to baked potatoes. 3 to 4 hours of sun does the job, zones 3 through 9. Evergreen Hardy White is bulletproof and lives up to its name. In just about any condition, Tokyo Long White gives you those long, slender stalks you see in Asian cooking, and Crimson Forest adds a beautiful red color if you want something different. Plant them about half an inch apart in rich soil, keep them moist, and start harvesting when they are about 6 inches tall. The trick is to cut them about an inch above the soil line and let them regrow. One planting can give you 3 or 4 harvests through the season without replanting. Number 6 is arugula, and here is what actually works. Arugula is a cool season green that bolts fast in full sun and hot weather. Put it in shade with 3 to 4 hours of light and you extend your harvest by weeks. Zones 2 through 11. Astro is the fastest variety and does beautifully in low light. Rocket is your classic peppery arugula that keeps its flavor mild and pleasant in shade instead of turning fiery hot. And Sylvetta is a wild type that handles shade better than almost any other variety I have tried. Sow seeds a 1/4 inch deep, keep soil moist, and start cutting baby leaves at about 3 inches tall. Arugula in shade has a smoother, more balanced flavor than arugula grown in full sun. The shade tames that peppery bite into something more elegant. My grandfather called his shady arugula patch the salad factory because it just kept producing while the sunny patch burned out by mid-June. Number 7 is beets, and this is where people really start raising their eyebrows. Yes, you can grow beets in partial shade. The roots will be smaller than what you would get in full sun. But here's the secret. You're growing beets in shade for the greens as much as the roots. Beet greens are incredibly nutritious and delicious, and they produce abundantly with just 4 hours of light. Zones 2 through 10. Bull's Blood has stunning dark red foliage that tastes as good as it looks. Detroit Dark Red is the classic all-purpose beet that handles shade with no complaints, and Choja, with those gorgeous candy-striped rings inside, does just fine in partial sun. Space them about 3 inches apart in loose, deep soil. Keep them consistently watered. You will get perfectly good 2 to 3 inch roots, plus all the greens you can eat. Forget what you have heard about beets needing blazing sun. They're far more adaptable than people give them credit for. I've grown beautiful beets in spots that only see morning light, and the greens from those plants were some of the best I have ever put on a plate. Number 8 is radishes, and this right here is the real deal. Radishes are already the fastest vegetable in the garden, and they do surprisingly well in shade. 4 hours of light is enough to grow perfectly good radishes, though they may take a few extra days compared to a sunny spot. Zones 2 through 10. Cherry Bell is your reliable workhorse that handles less light with no fuss. French Breakfast produces beautiful elongated roots even in partial shade. And watermelon radishes, with that stunning pink interior, will grow in shade, though they take a bit longer to mature. Loose soil, consistent moisture, and pull them on time. Shade-grown radishes are actually milder and less pungent than sun-grown ones, which a lot of folks prefer. If you have ever bitten into a radish that about took your head off, try growing them in shade next time. You will taste the difference immediately. They come out crisp, cool, and gentle enough that even folks who think they do not like radishes might change their minds. Number 9 is peas, and if you have not tried growing peas in a partially shaded spot, you should. Peas are a cool weather crop that actually struggles in intense heat and sun. 4 to 5 hours of light is enough to get a solid harvest of pods. Zones 2 through 9. Sugar Snap is the variety everybody knows, and it performs well in lower light. Oregon Sugar Pod is a flat snow pea type that produces reliably in partial shade, and Little Marvel is a shelling pea that stays compact and does not need much sun to set pods. Give them something to climb, keep the soil moist and cool, and plant them early in spring or in late summer for a fall crop. The mistake is thinking peas need a full sun trellis wall. They do not. A shady fence line or the east side of a building works beautifully. I've grown some of my sweetest peas along a fence that only got morning light, and they produce right up until the summer heat finally shut them down in late June. Number 10 is bok choy, and I have seen more people succeed with this in shade than in full sun. This Asian green actually prefers cooler, shadier conditions and bolts quickly when it gets too much heat and light. 3 to 4 hours of sun is the sweet spot. Zones 2 through 11. Joy Choy is a reliable, full-sized variety that handles shade without missing a beat. Shanghai Green gives you gorgeous pale green stems in compact plants, and Toy Choy is a miniature choy variety perfect for shady containers. Space them about 6 inches apart, keep the soil rich and consistently moist, and harvest before hot weather sets in. Bok choy in shade stays sweeter and more tender, and you get a much longer picking window than you would in a sunny bed. Number 11 is broccoli rabe, also called rapini, and most folks do not even know about this one. It is faster than regular broccoli, more shade tolerant, and produces clusters of small florets with tender leaves and stems that are all edible. 4 to 5 hours of sun is plenty. Zones 2 through 10. Noventina is an Italian variety that matures fast and produces heavily. Spring rabe is another quick option, perfect for cooler, shadier spots. And Zamboni gives you good-sized florets, even with limited light. Plant in rich soil, space about 4 inches apart, and harvest when the flower buds are tight and green. If you wait until they open into yellow flowers, you have waited too long. Broccoli rabe in shade. Takes a little longer, but the flavor is milder and less bitter, which most people actually prefer. Last on the list, number 12, is sorrel, and let me tell you, this is one of the most overlooked perennial greens in American gardening. Sorrel is a tangy, lemony-flavored green that thrives in partial shade and comes back year after year without replanting. 3 to 4 hours of sun is all it asks for. Zones 3 through 9. Large leaf French sorrel is the standard culinary variety with broad tender leaves. Red veined sorrel has gorgeous green leaves shot through with deep red veins and a slightly milder flavor. And Profusion is a variety that produces heavily and resists bolting. Plant it once, give it decent soil and occasional water, and it will feed you for years. Sorrel is one of the first greens to pop up in early spring, often weeks before anything else is ready. My grandfather had a sorrel patch that fed him for over 20 years from a single planting. You cannot beat that kind of return on investment from a shady corner of the yard that would otherwise be growing nothing but weeds. Plant it once and eat from it for decades. That is about as good as gardening gets. Now, if you take nothing else from this video, remember this. My grandfather taught me that the secret to getting more food out of shady spots is using reflective surfaces to bounce extra light onto your plants. He would lean a sheet of white painted plywood against the fence behind his shade beds, and the light that bounced off it added about an hour's worth of usable light to those plants every day. You can use white painted boards, aluminum foil on cardboard, or even a white bed sheet draped over a frame. Position it on the darkest side of your planting area so it reflects whatever light is available back onto your vegetables. It is free, it takes about 10 minutes to set up, and it genuinely makes a measurable difference. I have tested it myself with and without the reflectors, and the plants with that extra bounce light were noticeably bigger and more productive. Plain and simple, it is one of the cheapest and most effective tricks in shade gardening. And that is the honest truth about growing food in the shade. No fancy tricks, no gimmicks, just what actually works in the real garden. If this helped you out, go ahead and subscribe. I put out new videos every week to help you grow better food with less hassle and more confidence. Take care, and I will catch you in the next one.